Late Night Health continues. The insane Daryl Wayne and I'm Mark Allen. We're here on Late Night Health, offering ideas and suggestions for you to make your lives healthier and better. We're going to be spending some time now with Deborah Wallace talking about some parenting tips for special needs children. Deborah is an award-winning Philadelphia-based journalist. She's been in Cosmo, British Glamour, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Philadelphia Life, on and on and on. And their stories have been published throughout the world. She's the loving mother of an 11-year-old son with autism, and she's very involved with with the Autism Cares Foundation. And we did an interview with them not too long ago, so we're happy to help out. Life has not turned out the way you really expected it to, Deborah, has it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And can you tell us what happened? You were 53 years old, and what happened?
I was 53 years old. My husband and I had moved from Florida and bought a house in suburban Philly, Huntington Valley. Went through infertility, had a wonderful child, kind of got over the fact that he had autism, and we're working together as a team when my husband was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. We went for some treatments for 3 years while helping my son with his therapies. And 2 days after my husband's 57th birthday, I had bought him flowers for his birthday and pictures from my son and cupcakes and balloons. And 2 days later, I got the call from Temple University Hospital that his heart had given out and that he had passed away. And so this two-man operation that was helping my son with speech therapy and physical therapy and just about everything under the sun was now me as a single mom running a household, paying the bills. I had been working part-time. My husband was a mechanic. He had owned his own businesses and was kind of in between figuring out his next gig. And when I left the garage at Temple University Hospital and found my receipt, I knew that I was entering an entire new world. You know, my white picket fence, my community, my everything was there, but it wasn't the same. Nothing was the same.
It's been about 5 years, a little over 5 years.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. And I never liked roller coasters, ever. My 11-year-old is a big fan. It's been a wild, wild ride with a lot of ups and a lot of downs.
Well, his uncle Daryl likes roller coasters, and he can take them, but I won't go on them either.
Yeah, I just get dizzy. One of the first calls I got after my husband died was from a donor bank at the hospital asking if I wanted to donate his corneas so that other people could see. And you literally have like an hour to make these decisions, which we had talked about. And I was very proud that I didn't get to meet the gentleman or talk to them, but I got letters through the grapevine that a man in New Jersey and a man in Philadelphia could now see because of my husband's gift.
That is terrific. I think everybody should be an organ donor, and I have that stamped on my driver's license, actually. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing to do. Let's talk about your son a little bit. How old is he now, and how is he functioning?
He's 11. He turns 12 in the middle of January. He is very high functioning. I think my husband and I willed him to do everything that he can do. Autism is autism spectrum disorder because it runs the gamut, from children and adults who speak not at all or have a dozen words, or you hear about the geeks in the Silicon Valley working for Bill Gates. My son has come in a really, really long way. He's in an autistic support class half the day and a typical class the other half the day. He does still get speech therapy and other help, learning support, and we have a tutor. He's behind. He's in fifth grade, and some of his work is third grade, some of it's fourth grade, some of it's fifth grade, and some of it, if you can tap the imagination, if you can find the gift that each of our children, I believe, has, whether they're autistic or not, then miracles happen. My son and I write stories before he goes to bed every night, and we really have to put them to paper and computer and record them. And they're about animals and dinosaurs, and he cross-references Disney characters with Jurassic Park, with kind of everything in his world, with whales and characters, and they're imaginative and they're wonderful, and who knows, he may just follow in my footsteps and take another genre, become a children's author or a young adult author.
I think that's terrific. Somebody recently told me that, the autism spectrum is so wide that
yes,
in reality, maybe each of us has a touch of this, that we show up on this spectrum somewhere.
I believe that. My husband had patience for little intricate electronic devices and math and things that I see in my son, but he didn't like, chores or other kinds of things. I thought he was kind of OCD. He was a mechanic who washed his hands 100 times a day. So, kind of everybody has their quirks, and we have to embrace that and appreciate what's exciting about each other instead of what's different about each other.
What would you say is the biggest joy that you have with your son?
The biggest joy, a parent gets a report card or a report or a class project, and I'm sure that they're happy and they're bursting with pride. We're a two-man team now, he and I. So, everything I have is invested in him, emotionally and physically and financially. And when he does, a project with elephants or whales or, I've tried to talk the teachers into making more of his work about things that are preferred. If you can throw some dinosaurs in there, or whale watching, or zoos, or anything that piques his interest. So when he comes home, it's not about the report card. It's, the accomplishment. Everything is magnified. He doesn't do well when it snows and we're supposed to have a bunch of people over for a holiday party. He doesn't care. It's snowing. He doesn't have to drive in it. Why aren't they coming, Mommy?
Right.
So getting over those hurdles, and he's been to 3 Broadway shows. I usually bring a friend or a helper just so I have some backup. He's going. I
volunteer for that. I love Broadway musicals.
Okay.
All right.
He's been to a couple Philly Broadway shows at the Academy of Music. And, we have to park, we have to walk, we have to find our tickets, we have to find our seats. And first time I did it, my mom said, "Are you crazy?" I've been writing about theater and Broadway and music and movies forever, and I wanted to share that with him. My husband went to hundreds and thousands of shows in the 22 years we were together. And I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? We might have to leave at intermission. He might have a meltdown. He might not like it, but what I find with my child and a lot of children on the spectrum is you get your toe in the water, and the next time they want to put a few toes and then a whole foot, and then they jump in. But nothing is, they don't like surprises, a lot of our children.
Well,
they don't like transitions.
Gotcha.
And life is filled with transitions and surprises and first times.
They certainly are. But you should bring him to Ventura, California after the fires go away. Because we have big whale watching. There's a big whale watching season out here. And I've lived out here for over 20 years. I've never done it. Have you, Daryl?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a thrill. Even if you don't see the whales, the dolphins swim around the boats and everything else. But yeah, it's fun.
So it just popped into my head. Have Cindy bring you out. She'll do it.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, my child watches programs and documentaries and commercials, and he sees cruises, and he sees, faraway adventures in Japan and safaris, and he says, "Let's go, Mommy." And I was like, "Okay, let's go." So he's quite the character. He's very funny. He's very sweet, very, very empathetic. If he met you, or I told him that a friend had a cold or hurt their knee or their back or their toe or anything, 6 months, 2 years later, he would see you again. He would ask you how you were feeling.
And what about people in general within your family of friends and family? How have they acknowledged the autism? Because we don't really know all that much about it with all the research that goes on.
I think I've educated them a lot in terms of appropriate toys and gifts and activities. One of the people that my son has bonded with the most is my sisters live in D.C. and Baltimore, and my middle sister is the mother of a 28-year-old child. She's kind of very patient. That's key, very kind, and they see each other quite often, and she just gets him, and she's good with him, and she knows how to be a little strict, but also loving. And I remember I'm 5 years younger than my middle sister and 8 years younger than my oldest, and the stuff that we did together, my middle sister and I, are some of the same stuff that she's doing with him.
And of course, some of that stuff we're not allowed to do because he's only 11 years old. Deborah Wallace is our guest. She's an award-winning Philadelphia-based journalist, and we're talking about autism. In our remaining minute and a half, tell us how Autism Cares Foundation has helped you and your son.
My son and my husband and I started going to Autism Cares Foundation events when Adam was about 3. We heard about these great free activities and events. They've done 1,000 of them in the past 8.5 years. And in Philadelphia and the surrounding suburbs, and they're expanding very soon to the tri-state area, so they'll be in New York and New Jersey. And it's a social group where we go to sensory-friendly movies and fitness classes, and they have all kinds of holiday parties. And so when Linda Cooper, who co-founded the group with her husband Frank, heard that Harry had passed, she reached out to me, and she also heard that I was starting my own public relations firm, and I wanted to work with nonprofits, and I wanted to really help people and
which is terrific. We'll have to talk. Maybe we can help you help them. Autism Cares Foundation, is it .org?
It's Autism Cares Foundation, yes, .org.
.org. AutismCaresFoundation.org. We'll have a story about Deborah and Adam, as well as information about the foundation on LateNightHealth.com. We're out of time. We have to go. Robert Clancy's up next. Don't go away. More coming up as Late Night Health continues. Thanks a lot, Deborah.
Thank you. It was great.
Hold on.
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. Grief can be such a burden on your heart. It can be crippling to the point where you can't even seem to function. I've been there, and I know that pain. But I also know you're not alone in that sorrow. We're all going through something in this life. Just as the sun has to face dark days, so do we. But the sun also has to shine again. Letting go of grief is not about letting go of your loved one. It's about making room in your heart for the love that you hold for them. If you have great grief, then you must have a very big heart too. It's time to fill your heart with that love and share it with everyone.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
The latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Daryl Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Daryl Wayne is insane, what does that make me? Criminally insane. Stick around to find out.
It is the latest from the greatest. We've had some really good conversations over the 5 years that this program has been going on with some great rock artists and some people from behind the scenes, authors and otherwise producers. Some of those have been captured on the latest for the greatest Volume 1. It's available on Amazon, or if you go to blackstoneaudio.com, blackstoneaudio.com, or Amazon, search for Daryl Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and I said Wayne insane.